The philosophy of home. Why some of us choose the quiet life. You know that feeling when you decline yet another invitation, and there's this tiny voice in your head asking if something's wrong with you? That moment when everyone's posting their Friday night adventures, and you're genuinely excited about your evening at home? Let me tell you something. There's nothing wrong with you. In fact, you might be onto something profound that our hyper-connected world desperately needs to understand. Today, I want to talk about what I call the architecture of inner space and why some of us have built our richest worlds within the walls we call home. We live in a culture that treats staying home as a default state, something you do when nothing better is available. But here's what's fascinating. For many of us, home isn't the consolation prize, it's the destination. It's not where we end up when plans fall through. It's the plan itself. Think about the language we use. We say someone got out of the house like they've escaped something. We celebrate people who are always on the go as if movement itself equals growth. But what if depth requires stillness? What if the constant outward motion is actually preventing us from the inward journey that builds who we really are? There's this assumption that loving home means fearing the world outside. That's not it at all. It's not about fear. It's about knowing where your energy flows most authentically. The energy economy of being. Here's something we don't talk about enough. Different environments demand different types of energy from us. And for some people, the external world is incredibly expensive, energetically speaking. When you're out there, you're constantly negotiating. You're reading social cues, managing expectations, performing a version of yourself that fits the context. Even when it's fun, even when you love the people you're with, there's a tax being paid. Your nervous system is working overtime, processing stimuli, making micro adjustments to fit the flow of what's happening around you. But at home? At home, you can just be. The performance drops. The negotiation stops. You're not conserving energy out of laziness. You're recognizing that your deepest thinking, your most creative work, your truest self-expression happens when you're not spending all your resources on just existing in a space. This isn't introversion in the pop psychology sense. It's something more fundamental. It's about recognizing that your internal world is as real and valuable as the external one. Maybe more so. And here's what's powerful. When you choose to be home and you're truly there, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, something shifts. You're not dividing your attention between where you are and where you could be. You're just here, fully, completely. This quality of undivided presence is rare now. The depth paradox. Our culture has this weird relationship with depth. We claim to value it, but we're terrified of the conditions that create it. And those conditions usually involve time, solitude, and stillness. You can't think deeply while you're bouncing between coffee shops, bars, and social obligations. You can't develop a complex idea in the 15 minutes between events. Real thinking, the kind that changes how you see the world, requires hours of uninterrupted time. It requires being comfortable with silence. It requires a space where your thoughts can unfold without constant interruption. People who love staying home aren't avoiding depth. They're seeking it. They've realized that the most interesting conversations they have might be with themselves. That the most transformative experiences don't always require a plane ticket or a packed schedule. And here's the paradox. By pulling back from the constant social circulation, you often end up with more to offer when you do engage. You're not just recycling the same observations everyone else is making, because they're consuming the same content in the same public spaces. You're bringing something that's been filtered through your own contemplation. There's a reason so many creators have been homebodies. Creation requires protection. It requires a space where half-formed ideas can exist without being immediately subjected to external judgment or influence. Home becomes the laboratory. The place where you experiment with ideas, where you fail privately, where you build things slowly without the pressure of an audience. The social pressure question. Let's be honest about what's really hard. The social judgment. The questions. Why didn't you come? Are you okay? You should get out more. As if your choice to stay home is a problem that needs solving. This pressure reveals something interesting about how we collectively think about value. We've somehow decided that social circulation equals living fully. That if you're not constantly visible, constantly participating in public life, you're missing out. But missing out on what exactly? On experiences you don't actually want? On conversations that drain rather than nourish you? On the feeling of constantly being slightly out of sync with your own needs? The truth is, some of us have done the math and realized that the supposed benefits of constant social engagement don't actually outweigh the costs. Not because we're antisocial, but because we're being honest about what actually makes us feel alive. The final word. Loving home isn't about limitation. It's about knowing yourself well enough to honor what you actually need, rather than what you're told you should want. It's about recognizing that depth, creativity, and authentic self-development often require exactly what our culture dismisses: time alone, in a familiar space with nothing to prove to anyone. You're not broken for wanting to stay in. You're not missing out by choosing depth over breadth. You're not less alive for finding richness in stillness rather than constant motion. You're just built differently, and thank goodness for that, because the world needs people who think deeply, who create carefully, who know themselves well. And those qualities don't come from endless social circulation. They come from the quiet work you do when no one's watching. Thank you for taking this time to reflect with me. I hope you carry something from this conversation into your day, into your life. Be gentle with yourself until we meet again.